And this was nothing but God, because those friends that I was going to go hang out with ended up committing. He tried to kill me like 3 times. He pulls out a gun and he lets off 3 shots at me. Right over here, over this shoulder, there was a bullet hole here, and then there was one right here. And I was looking out the window, and by the time I turned this way, he was punching me in my face. Like, punched me in my face while we were driving. I said, I don't want to be with you no more. And he basically told me, if I can't have you, can't nobody have you. So he sped up and he unlocked the door. Well, he slowed down first and he opened the door, and then he sped up and he's trying to push me out, and I'm trying to hold on for dear life. And we end up, they called him to let him know that I was in the hospital and I tried to commit suicide. His response was, I don't care, let her die. I didn't love myself. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I felt like I was nothing. Never thought that I would be in a situation like that. I would say it's probably at a 6. I've battled for mental health for a long time. A lot of people don't know that. I think that it came into light when I moved to Texas. I moved to Texas to be closer to my brother. He has a traveling job. He's my biggest support system. Like, he helps me do everything. And so when I was having these bouts with depression or with my anxiety, I didn't know what was going on. Because, like, growing up, Black people, ain't nothing wrong with you. You don't need to go talk to nobody.
Yeah.
Just go to church. It'll be all right. And I felt like, I remember one day I was at work and working at Frito-Lay, I'm working 12 hours a day, barely seeing my kids. And one day they came in to the office and was like, hey, you got to stay for overtime today. And something just took over me. And I just started sweating. I couldn't breathe. It was just like, what is going on? And I ended up having to go to the emergency room. And I think my blood pressure was like 202 over 170 something, which is heart attack range. And they sent me, they was like, well, we're going to keep you in the emergency room. I ended up going to see a therapist, and he was like, how long have you been feeling like this? I was like, since high school. I've been dealing with this since high school, but I never felt comfortable enough to tell anybody what I was going through. I think my mom and them kind of knew something when I tried to commit suicide. That's when they was like, okay, something ain't right. But then after I got out from my stint, when you commit suicide, they make you stay for a 48-hour hold. After I got out, it was just swept back under the rug again. And I was left to continue to deal with it by myself. There was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody, I felt like I had nobody to talk to about it. And I didn't want to feel like I was weird or something was mentally wrong with me, like very mentally wrong with me. And so it was just hard for me. And when I was in Texas, they wanted to put me on all this medication. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to figure out a way to deal with it without having to be medicated. So for me, to this day, I still deal with it every day. Every day is a struggle with depression and anxiety. Because you get in these moods where you just don't want to get out of bed. And anything can trigger it. And you just don't want to get out the bed. And I find myself in my bed a lot. But I think that one thing that keeps me going is having friends that check on me every day. And, hey, friend, or Tasha, you coming to work? Antron, sis, you coming to work? What's going on? Kia, hey, you coming to work? I think that helps me get up out of bed a lot. And I think my youngest, he does not know. He drives me crazy. But he does not know what he does for me that keeps me going. And he can tell when something is wrong. He'll come get in the bed with me and watch movies with me.
Wow.
So for me, mentally, some days I have good days. Some days I'm at a 10. And I come into work and you'll see me. I'll be happy. I'm in there. I'm bopping around. I'm saying hi to everybody. Then some days I come in there and I'm kind of like dragging. It's because I had a rough day. But I have to say that I've had more better days than I've had bad days. In the past year and a half, way better days. I have not touched my anxiety medication in over a year. So I've had way better days. And I think it's because of the bonds and friendships that I've built with people that actually care about me. And so for me, it's just taking it one day at a time. And I have to understand that I think for me, I was always dependent on everybody else to make me happy. And I had to come to the conclusion, like, your happiness can't depend on everybody else.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what makes you happy. You have to figure out how to make Sidnee happy. I can't come to you and say, Damo, I'm having a bad day. Make me smile.
Right.
I can't do that. I have to figure it out on my own. Because if I depend on everybody else to make me happy, what happens when you're going through something and you can't make me happy? What happens when life is life and for other people around me? I don't have that to depend on anymore. I have to be able to make myself happy. And that's one thing that I'm learning to do. It's a process, but I'm getting happier every day. Like when I say every day, I'm growing. The self-love that I have for myself now,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have it at first. Like y'all see me with the colorful hair and all that other stuff. I did not.
Yep.
I was not comfortable wearing that. I was not comfortable at all. And I feel like it stemmed from bad relationships. It stemmed from abusive relationships. And it just stemmed from, I didn't feel like I was worthy. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you don't feel like you're worthy of certain things, it makes you not have confidence. And it's to me just loving myself. Because I always tell myself, if I can't love myself, how can I expect other people to love me? I have to love me first. I'm not Sidnee if I don't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just me growing into who I am.
Yeah, and like you said, depending on us or me or whoever to make you happy, that's no different than you using, what is it, Tylenol or something.
Right.
It's just temporary.
It's temporary, exactly.
You have to go back into life or whatever situations you deal with in life. What does a 10 look like? How? Because you said sometimes you be on 10.
Y'all see
Did
me
I
on
miss
the 10.
that? Yeah, I'm saying, yeah. Like,
y'all see me on the 10. I'm coming to work. I'm early to work. I come in and even when I'm not pushing up or supervising, I'll come in and I'll do the count for Denise and them because I'm in great spirits,
Yeah.
I'm coming in, I'm hugging everybody, asking everybody how they doing. And I'm not tired. I don't feel like I'm dragging. I'm smiling. I'm cracking jokes. Sometimes I can be a little bit, the cheese is very hot. Sometimes I can be a little funny. People say, there's a little comedian inside of there.
Yeah.
That's when I'm having a 10-day, when I'm cracking jokes and just being happy and that's a 10-day for me. And I have way more 10 days than I've had 4 and 5 and 6 days.
Like for people who don't know, the cheese is hot is just her letting us know the nachos is ready. Real nachos. This is not a metaphor for anything. Maybe we could find a metaphor for this.
Right.
I feel like there's a metaphor somewhere in there.
Yeah.
The cheese is hot. But
if I don't have them nachos, you didn't bring no nachos today? Not today. I was tired.
That boy King came over. Shit, he got the nachos. I'm just letting you know.
Right.
Get out of my face. All right.
He seen me. He said, "Is the cheese hot?" It's hot.
It's hot. Talking about depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said you was dealing with that even in high school.
Right.
Can you remember when depression was first triggered? Like like when you went into depression, the first time you went into depression?
I would say I think that watching my mom be a single mom, it was kind of like, when I was in elementary school and middle school, I didn't know that my mom was struggling. She hid it so well.
Mm-hmm.
She would never let us know that we didn't have or we was going without. But I think when I got into high school, I kind of got more hip to it because I was paying attention more. When you in elementary and middle school, you just living your life, being a kid. But when you get into high school, you start to notice things more. And I think for me, watching my mom struggle and not being able to help, because my mom was the main one. I don't want you to have a job. I don't want you to do this. I want you to focus on school.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to school and being bullied. Like, people don't realize I was bullied when I was at Northeast. People thought, oh, you were so popular. But you can be popular and still be bullied, though. I was only popular because I played basketball. I was only popular because I did sports. But I definitely got talked about for my skin complexion. Mm. And I think that kind of started like my 8th grade year. I would get called Dark Vader and just everything that was pertaining to my skin, my complexion. Back in the day, dark skin ain't in. I mean, we pop it now, but back in the day, dark skin was not a thing. And so for me, I think that kind of that kind of took over. And then like just life, being bullied. And then at school, it's like I wasn't getting any peace. I was being bullied at school, which nobody knew because I was smiling through it. Like making jokes about my skin complexion or, I got talked about a lot because I played sports and I kind of dressed like a tomboy. So everybody thought I was gay. And nobody didn't know I was gay until I started dating Tony. Everybody thought I was gay.
Nobody didn't know you wasn't.
No, I wasn't gay. Let me rephrase that.
Or you're not gay.
I'm not gay.
Yeah.
But, so I got picked on a lot, but people really didn't. I mean, and the way I hid it was, I don't know if you know, my senior year, I got voted class clown. That's the way I hid it. That's the way I hid my depression, by being goofy, by laughing and covering it up. And so for me, it was just like, it slowly started to progress. And then I think when I went away to college, I went to MOS. I was still a tomboy. I never really had any boyfriends because I wasn't comfortable in my skin because of the me being dark skinned. And one day I had a really bad migraine, and there was a girl, she was one of my roommates, and she was like, well, I got some medicine you could take for a migraine. And I took it, and it made me feel better. I don't know what it was she gave me. So I went in there and I took a whole bunch of them because I was dealing with depression, but I didn't know how to deal with it. And so there was this group of guys from St. Louis, and they had, and they were making jokes about me because here I am still dressed like a tomboy. That's how I was comfortable. Basketball shorts and Nike t-shirts and Jordans is how I was comfortable. And if you see me, I was probably on the basketball court playing basketball while all the other girls in college are, chasing after boys or, trying to be cute. And I'm just want to go hoop. That's all I want to do. Go to class and go play basketball. And, just the jokes and talking about my looks. Cause my mom braided hair. So I always kept braids in my hair, even if it was some straight backs. Like I always kept my hair braided straight back, and they would call me Cleo. I'll set it off. So, that kind of hurt. And so one day I was just like, I want to go home. My mom was like, no, you're going to stay down there and you're going to finish. And at that point I was like, I don't want to be here no more. And I just took her pills and I just threw them back. And I didn't want to be here no more, but whatever it wasn't nothing that was going to take me out. I don't know what it was. And the doctor was like, what did you thought you was going to do? This is just something to get rid of a headache. But the way it made me feel, it kind of got me a head high. So I thought maybe it was something I could take to and so that was the first time, but it wasn't like I covered it up. I told my mom, like, I just had a headache and I took too much of something and that's what it was. But I just didn't want to be at college anymore. Mm-hmm. I wanted to come home and be with my mama. And she told me no. And that kind of hurt, but it's just bullying. It played a lot in my depression, but then again, like I said, watching my mom struggle and not being able to give her what she needs. And now that I look at it, a child is not going to ever be able to give a parent what they need. A parent has to be able to parent. She knows what she's doing. But for me and my mom and my brother were so close because we were really like all we had until my stepdad came into my life. So for me, watching her go through stuff, and I remember the first time our lights got cut off, she wasn't embarrassed for nobody else knowing. She was embarrassed because her kids seeing her lights get cut off. You know what I mean? But my mom always makes sure, like, I had everything. I never had dirty shoes. I always had nice clothes. If I wanted a pair of Jordans, my mama would.
Do what she had to do.
I can't get them this week, but give me a couple weeks. You're going to have a pair of Jordans. She made sure. So I never really knew the extent of us struggling until we got into high school. So it was just kind of like one of those things where I think that's when depression started. And that's when, like I said, I started getting bullied probably like in 8th grade. And then it just progressed. And then I came home from college and I just went wild. When I say I went wild, my mama never allowed us to be in the streets. But I don't know what it was. I said, Mama, I don't want to go to school anymore. She said, okay, come back here. You can go to Penn Valley. Came back home and I was in the streets hanging with people that I should not be hanging with at all. Fighting. Just so many situations. And I remember when I got pregnant with my son, and I was like, okay, you got to sit down and do right. You can't keep doing this. And when I say I was fighting, I remember one time, and this is a funny story, but this is when I say the type of time that I was on. My friend was like, I give you $10 in food stamps, you go beat that girl up. And I just did it just because. I didn't even want the food stamps. I just did it because I was angry. I was definitely angry. And the way that I got over my anger is to fight, because that's something I was good at. I grew up with my brother and my cousin. We used to fight and wrestle all the time. So they made me tough. So I knew Sidnee, you can fight. You know what these hands can do. That's the way I dealt with my anger issues and my insecurities. Because most of the times when a person is insecure, most of the times when somebody is bullied, they turn into a bully. And that's what I did. I was bullied, so I turned into a bully. But most of the time when somebody is bullying somebody, it's because they're insecure about something. Me, I was insecure about my looks. So that's what I did. I fought a lot, and I didn't care. And I think I started fighting in high school. And I mean, and it was crazy because most of my fights I had in high school weren't with women. It was with the guys that were bullying me, or it was the guys that were talking about me. And so that's what I did. I fought a lot. And I think having kids changed me a lot, because it made me realize, like, okay, what can you teach your kid? Because at the time I didn't know what I was having. What if you have a little girl? Is this what you want her to be? Is this what you want her to do? You have to be able to set an example. My mom was not a fighter. My mom was not in the streets. My mom was not a bad person at all. My mom was a good person. She went away to college. She did everything. And so, my mom has 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree. Very intelligent. And she set a very good example for me. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, what am I going to be able to give my kids? What can I, what can I provide? How to fight? How to be out in the streets? How to smoke weed? What can I teach my kids? And so I think that kind of like took me to a place where I just kind of was like, okay, Sidnee, you can't do this no more. And I remember around that time, me deciding I had my son, and then I'm pregnant with my second son, and I had him, and I was kind of backing off, and I was, I was being a mother. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day my friend, she called me. She was like, hey, we're going to go hang out, see if your mom can watch the kids for you. And I'm like, I ain't did no street stuff in a long time. Let me go do it. And I asked my mom, can you watch the boys for me? She was like, no, I ain't babysitting today. I don't feel like it. And I was like, oh, I called my friend. I said, I can't go. I don't got a babysitter. Oh, your mom want to watch kids? I was like, no. She's like, okay. And this was nothing but God, because those friends that I was going to go hang out with ended up committing an armed robbery and ended up going to jail for 5 years. I think they all got 5 years. So my mom telling me, no, I'm not going to babysit, saved my life. Mm-hmm. And because I could be sitting in jail away from my kids. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, at that moment, I was like, that's God trying to tell you something. Like, like how many times does God have to tell you, no, don't do something before you get it? So I was like, okay, I'm listening. I hear you. I need to sit down, because that could have been me in jail with them, and I got 2 small kids that would have been left with my mom. So I think that really took a change in who I was, and trying to be a better person. I started going back to school and just trying to provide something better for my kids. I think at the same time, though, I was still dealing with depression, and I was also in an abusive relationship. So, I don't know. I don't know when everything really changed for me, as far as wanting to be a better person. I think that I'm still growing. Yeah. We grow every day. Yeah. I learn something new every day. And I'm still trying to become the woman that God wants me to be. I ask God every day to guide my footsteps. I think that, like I said, I told you I deal with anger. You've seen it when I'm at work and somebody's done something to me and I went from 0 to 100, and you've talked to me about it. I think I'm dealing with that better. um, people can do stuff to me now, and I'll just be like, well, maybe it's something that they need to get off their chest, or maybe it's something how they feel. And I'll be like, okay, Sidnee, you can't discount their feelings. You can never tell a person how they can feel because those are your feelings. So I'm learning to allow people to express themselves and not get upset about it. And I have to realize that everything that they say is not an attack at me. Maybe it's some constructive criticism that I need to hear. So I'm growing.
You talked about your mama. You said you don't know as a child what you can do to help your mama. And you're not supposed to know this, but I think you said it kind of what we can do if it comes along. You said, how you said your son lay in the bed with you and it makes you just feel better, but he doesn't know that.
Right.
It gives you a reassurance that I love my mama.
Right.
And you're doing what you're supposed to do. Right. So maybe some kind of assurance that like, Mama, you are great.
Right.
You're doing great. Because she only got embarrassed the lights was off because of how y'all would feel. Right.
Right.
And then we talk about fighting, teaching your kids fighting, which is a good thing. But beyond the physical part,
right,
teaching them to fight for life,
right,
because you almost gave up on life,
right.
So you're teaching them to fight is not a bad thing,
right.
Everything you go through can damn near be flipped into your favor,
right,
if you just put it in the right context,
right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right, I agree.
And depression, back to depression. Oh, wait, before we go there, you talk about being bullied and talked about your skin complexion. Shout out Soraya. Soraya Brown. She was just talking about that on the last episode. How she was, another class clown.
Yeah.
Another real goofy.
Very goofy.
And talk about laughing and making jokes beyond pain. So when it comes to boys, boys back then, even men now, but I will talk about boys. When they started approaching you and giving you attention, would you damn near go for anything? Because
anything. Because my stepdad came into my life when I was 16. At this point, I've already started liking boys. Mm-hmm. My real dad wasn't in the picture as much as I would have liked him to be. So, my sisters had him in the house. And if you look at the relationships that my sisters have with me and that I have, it's totally different. Because he taught them how a man is supposed to love a woman because their mom and their dad were in the same household. And the way he loved my stepmom was beautiful. Like when I say beautiful, beautiful. But I didn't have that relationship with him. So he didn't teach me how a man was supposed to love me. I didn't know. You know what my brother supposed to teach me? He younger than me. He liking girls too. He's trying to figure it out. So the first little boy, and it was, I wasn't comfortable in my skin. So I wasn't sexually active at a young age like most girls because I wasn't comfortable with who I was and in my skin. And like I said, most people thought I liked women anyway because of the way I dressed, because of my demeanor. But for me, it was just as soon as somebody liked me, oh, I like him so much. Because I didn't, and I would settle for anything, and I would accept anything. Like, he don't got no job.
Because your standard was nothing.
Because there was never a man in my life to set that standard. So I accepted whatever was given to me. And that's how I ended up with my youngest son's dad for so long, even though he tried to kill me like 3 times. So I stayed with him because I accepted that because I felt like I couldn't do any better. And when you feel like that, of course, it has everything to do with depression and but it also has to do with self-love. I didn't love myself. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I felt like I was nothing. So when you've already been dealing with depression, you don't know how a man is supposed to love you, right? I don't know how I'm supposed to be treated. And then you're in a relationship with somebody who tells you, you ain't shit. You suck. You ugly. You ain't nobody ever gonna want you. And then after I had my son, you fat, you this and this. When you have somebody constantly telling you that every day, you start to believe it. So I felt like if I would have had a man in my life to teach me that, I wouldn't half of the relationships that I was in, I probably wouldn't have been in. I would have been like, no, you ain't, you're not on my level. But I settled for it because I felt like that's all I deserved. So for me, now, I'm very picky in certain situations. Sometimes I stumble back into that. I'm gonna give him another chance, but I definitely am learning not to accept, because if you're not gonna treat me the way I feel like I should be treated, if you're not gonna love me the way I feel like I should be loved, what are you here for? If you're not making me want to grow, I also look at how can you make me better as a woman, as far as like, I feel like if a man and a woman are in a relationship, they're supposed to pour into each other, right? If you're not pouring into me, what are you here for? Because I know what I bring to the table. But what are you bringing to the table, and how are we going to build this table together? You know what I mean? Like, what do we both have to offer each other that's going to make both of us better? Because you're supposed to elevate the person that you're with. Y'all supposed to grow together. So if we're not growing and you're not going to help my growth, why are you here? And that's just not for men. That's for friendships too.
Yeah.
That's for anybody in my life. If you're a part of my life in my inner circle, you have to be able to elevate me to the next level. I have to be able to elevate you to. We're helping each other grow. That's what you're here for. Whether it's family, friends, even supervisors. If you're saying that you want me to be a better person, how can you make me be a better person? And what can I do to make you a better person? And if you're not serving the purpose of helping Sidnee, make Sidnee better, then why are you here? Why are you here? Life is too short. And I've lost a lot of people in my life. And I've just realized that you can't, I used to always give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, they always say forgiveness is not for you, it's for the other person. But my issue was, I will forgive somebody and I will forget what they did to me. You can't never forget what nobody did to you, because I feel like you have to always remember so you won't go through that again. Because now if I remember I forgive you, I definitely forgive you. I wish no bad on you. But I have to remember that, because now I have to remember the signs when it's happening to me again. Yeah. If I don't remember those signs because I forget it, then it's going to continue to happen. I'm going to be stuck in that cycle. So I definitely forgive, but I never forget it. Even though I'm not going to elaborate it on every day. Like, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this.
Make yourself forget.
Yeah, but I'm never going to forget it. It'll be in the back of my mind. So when those signs start to show up again, I can say, oh, I know where this is going. I need to pull back. Yeah. And I think that if I would have had that as far as men in relationships, like, oh, I know where he's going with this because this is how this happened. They always say you can't base your last relationship off, your new relationship off your last one. But if there are signs there that are showing me, but I never had that. I never had a man to show me those signs.
You think if because you are forgive and forget, and I think you said it's not for you, it's for the other person. Ain't it supposed to be for you?
No, that's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah, forgiveness is for me.
For me, not the other
person. I don't care about what you. I have to forgive you because I feel like, and this is my old pastor told me this. Pastor Kirkwood, shout out to him. He told me, he said, when you don't forgive somebody and you don't move on from it, he was like, if that person walks in the room and your whole demeanor changes and you just immediately get an attitude and you just don't want to be there, you are giving this person power over your life. They own you. And he said, nobody should have power over your life. And so for me, that's what I would do. I would be so angry at a person, they would walk in somewhere and I would leave. I'm never going to let nobody have that much power over me ever again. And after he told me that and I started realizing that's what I was doing, I was like, he's right. I could be somewhere, be at a family function, and a family member cannot walk in, I don't like, and I'll leave. I could be out and about and I'll see somebody and I'll try to avoid that person because it's just like, that's me, you having power over me. I should be able to enjoy my life no matter what you did to me, and you should not be able to alter how I think. You should not be able to alter my mood. You should not be able to alter whatever I'm doing. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, Sidnee, you have to learn how to forgive people and move on and not harbor over what they did to you. Yeah. Don't forget it, because you definitely need to see those signs so it don't happen again. Yeah. But stop giving people power over your life. I gave a lot of people power over my life, And it just, and that's another thing that played into my depression.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, people don't realize depression has so many keys to it that can trigger anything. So for me, it's just like, don't give these people power over you. You forget them. Let them live their life. You continue to live, because these people don't care. They will hurt you and continue to live their life. And you still over here wallowing in sorrow. And every time you see them, you get all, and they're living their life, but you haven't got past it yet. Mm-hmm. So that's for me, just forgiving and moving on.
I mean, the forgiveness is, and forgetting is like wounds and scars. Like, right. The wound is when you haven't forgiven the person or whatever. Right. So it's still open and it's gonna bleed on everybody else. But the scar, you need that. Like you said, you need that. So
I can look down and say, okay, I remember.
And I did this. But even in that, it's like, because you talk about when people start to show a little bit of the same signs. If at first sight you see something little that reminds you of that person, I don't think you run right then and there. Right. Unless it's something huge. Right. But you know, a lot of people just something little and they'll be like, oh, I'm out. Right. But that don't mean they like the last person. Exactly. You might can say something to this person like, hey, this triggers me, and I'm going to tell you why this triggered me. Oh, I didn't think about it like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? And they might be able to change
it, exactly.
Going back to, I still kind of want to stay on the boys real quick, but not on the boys. Right. Do you think, so you would say, you know the kind of girls dudes wanted back then when you were being called too dark or whatever. Mm-hmm. And let me assure you that you're a very pretty woman.
Thank you.
Very pretty woman. Very beautiful, but sometimes the ugly come out.
It does.
A little higher than the beauty, so it'll make you look uglier than what you are. So going back to that, do you think sometimes when what you may deem or they deemed as a pretty woman back then comes in the space of your men or boyfriends then, however it happens, do you think you quickly just lash out on them? Not even lash out, but you feel like they on some bullshit, even if they not even doing nothing.
You mean like now or back then?
Then, now, whenever, because you just kind of like getting into your mode
right.
And
so
shit.
Back then, until I would say like maybe till about 2 years ago, I don't have a lot of trust and faith in women.
Okay.
I had a select group of friends, and that's who and one of them really hurt me by, with one of my significant others. Mm-hmm. So I have a hard time trusting women. So I would say back then I definitely was like, oh, she pretty, I don't want her around. But now I like to have beautiful women around me. Like I mean, even like there's a young lady at work, every time I say, I'm like, hey, beautiful, she's so pretty to me, and she's my complexion. Mm-hmm. Her Taylor, she draws for Adis. She's so pretty to me. And I'm like, hey, beautiful. And even Nicole, all the time, hey, beautiful. And that's what they know about me, because I walk around and I say, hey, beautiful. I love, especially women of color. I just always, hey, beautiful. I love to compliment women of color, because I feel like sometimes we don't get it enough. And so now that I've come into who I am and I love myself, I see the beauty in every woman, and I'm not intimidated by it.
Okay.
I'm not intimidated by it anymore, because I feel like just as beautiful as she is, I am too. And we all have something beautiful about us. And so for me, it took a while for me to get there, but now that I'm here, I don't care, because I always tell myself, it's always going to be somebody that men are always going to have their different stages of pretty, right? Like, oh, she looked better than her. Just because he thinks, well, women do too, but just because a man thinks that she looks prettier than me doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of his attention. If that makes sense.
No, yeah.
Because, and I don't want to throw shade at nobody, but a lot of times a woman can be gorgeous and she don't have nothing going for herself.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like, I think now that I've gotten older, when we were younger, men used to go for the pretty smile. But now that I've gotten older and with my age group, men are looking for women with substance. So for me, I know what I bring to the table. So it's like it's a confidence booster when I know that I'm more than just a pretty face. That I know that what I have to bring to the table is not just going to be looks. So I don't feel intimidated by other women. I think that I like to be around beautiful women. I definitely do, especially when we going out, we taking pictures, and I love to be around beautiful women and everything. And it's just, it takes you have to be confident and love yourself to be able to compliment another woman. If another woman can't give another woman a compliment, she's insecure about something within herself.
Yeah.
And so for me, I used to be like that. I definitely did used to be like that. But now,
as far as beautiful women did trigger you around your
men, yeah.
Nigga, men go for you.
Right.
I just got this one. You ain't about to come around and take
I just got this one. You ain't about to come around and take this one. What you looking at? Why you looking at her? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but now
I talking to her.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's just like the love that I have for myself now. If he want to leave me for a pretty face, bye. Because somebody's going to come along, they're going to see not just a pretty face, they're going to see what's on the inside and be like, okay, God, you broke the mold when you made this one. And that's where I am now. Yeah. But like I said, that still stems from me learning to love myself. And it's a long road, and I'm still growing every day, and I'm still learning every day. It's a process. So, and I mean, it's sort of like wiping away, you know, you peeling back layers like an onion. And every day I peel back a new layer and I learn something new about myself. And sometimes it might make me cry like an onion. And sometimes it might add a little flavor like an onion, you know? So that's where I'm at. And I take it day at a time. And I take it stride by stride. And that's what it is. But I'm loving who I am. I'm growing. I'm living my life. And I say like this, I'm Sidnee. Accept me for who I am or leave me where I be. You don't have to love me because I love myself. But it took me a while to get here.
Siri, note like an onion. I like that name for this for this episode. But back to the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
When you got in a relationship and he first put his hands on you or whatever. I would imagine this man made you feel at least on a lower level because you wasn't getting it at first. So when he came in, he got to do the lowest level of
the lowest,
like, hey, you look good, let me take you out or something like that. And just talk about that. Yeah.
You know what, for me, because my mom tried to keep me away from the streets, you know what I went for?
Yeah.
Dudes in the streets.
Yeah.
And he was the drug dealer with the sagging pants and the Jordans, and he was carrying a gun. He was in the streets, and I was so intrigued. I was like, ooh, I want him. And then he whispered a little bit of sweet nothing in my ear, and I was hooked. But I had just had my oldest son. My oldest son, you know, he was months old.
Yeah.
And I was in school and I was in college, and I know Jason's dad, he just was like, I knew you were going to be something. So I wanted you to have my kid. And he did it on purpose. So he got me pregnant with Jason on purpose because he said, I seen something in you and I knew you were going to be something. I knew you were somebody special, and that's who I wanted to have my first kid. So I got pregnant and I was like 4 months, and he had just went to jail. He had got out and I was starving. And we were going to get something to eat, and he was driving. And I wanted to eat this, but he wanted to eat something different. I was like, well, if I'm paying for it, why we can't eat what I want to eat? Over some food. And I was like, and he was like, don't you ever talk to me like that again. And I'm like, all I asked you was, if I'm paying for the food, why come we can't eat what I want? You made me feel like less of a man because you paying for our food. And I was like, okay. So in my mind, I should have left right then and there. 4 months pregnant and you punched me in my face. But I stayed. You
thought you was wrong at the
time? I thought I was wrong. Yeah. Because he said, you made me feel like less of a man. You know, men, especially abusive men, they know how to manipulate situations for their benefit. So, of course he came back and I'm sorry I punched you. I've never hit nobody ever. And so, it wasn't like a common thing. It became common after, I found out he was cheating. And I confronted him about it. Like, I'm pregnant and we're not using protection and you're out here sleeping with other women. What if you, saying, give me something? Or what if you do something that can harm our child? And we're arguing over the phone and he's just going in and I'm every name under the book. Like, he used to call me some of the worst names ever. And I'm at my aunt's house. He's like, I'm about to pull up there and I'm about to da-da-da-da. He pulls up with the other girl. Now, mind you, at this point, I'm like 7 months pregnant. And they come and she's coming to fight me. 7 months pregnant, and you brought a girl over here to fight me. And at the time, it was me, and I had my cousins are younger than me, so they smaller. I'm babysitting, And just so happened, my friend, she didn't stay far away, so she was like, I'm coming over there. I ain't about to let them do nothing to you. And she comes over, and we're in the front yard. We're arguing. I'm like, you're mad at me because you're cheating. And she tried to fight me, and they wouldn't let her. And he pulls out a gun, and he lets off 3 shots at me. And he tried to kill me. And where I was standing in front of my aunt's garage. Thank God his aim was horrible, or God was just covering me. There was a bullet hole right over here, over this shoulder. There was a bullet hole here. And then there was one right here, like he tried to shoot me in my stomach. So it was right here. And none of them hit me. But they were that close, like over both my shoulders. And so I'm like, you really tried to kill me? But guess what? Guess who didn't leave? Me. Because I felt like this was all I deserved it. He made me feel like everything was my fault. And so after he tried to kill me and I took him back, that was like open season. He felt like, okay, there's nothing. I done tried to kill this girl. There's nothing that I'm going to do that's going to make her leave me. And that's when the abuse started, like every day. I had moved out to Grandview and got my own place. And once he got me away from my mom, it was a wrap. It was every day. And it was the little things that would trigger him. If the boys were crying too loud, they were small babies, and I couldn't get them to stop crying. Or if they were, if he had to do anything with them, he would get mad. And that was it. And I remember one day, he was like, he had put his hands on me. He's like, I'm going to take you to the movies because, I feel like you deserve it, and I apologize. So I took the boys to my sister's house, and she was babysitting them, and we went to the movies, and a girl called his phone. I know you with Sidnee and that. And of course, I can hear all this, and I'm like, why do you keep cheating on me? What are you cheating on me for? Like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm thinking to myself, like, Sidnee, why are you asking yourself, what are you doing wrong? It's him. And we're arguing, driving down 71, and he literally tries to push me out the car as we're driving down 71. And he's trying to push me because I told him, I said, I don't want to be with you no more. And he basically told me, if I can't have you, can't nobody have you. So he sped up and he unlocked the door. Well, he slowed down first and he opened the door, and then he sped up and he's trying to push me out, and I'm trying to hold on for dear life. And we end up wrecking. And I was like, and of course, guess what? I stayed. And because at this point in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, he's saying if he can't have me, nobody can. This man's going to kill me if I try to leave. And I didn't want to. I went to my mom's house, and I was like, I need to get away from him. And that's when I just slid my wrist, and my mom had a whole bunch of pills in her and I just took everything. I sent out a mass text to my family, and this is what it was. My cousin Aaron was the closest one to my mom's house, and he ended up coming, and they took me to the hospital, and I got out. They called him to let him know that I was in the hospital, and I tried to commit suicide, and his response was, I don't care, let her die. So I come home from the hospital, and I was like, okay, Sidnee, you got to get away. You got to figure out a way to get away. But that's easier said than done. I say it all the time. I had a friend that was asking me about a cousin that's in an abusive relationship. You cannot make that person want to leave. That person has to get tired and want to leave. That person has to get fed up and want to leave. And for 6 years, I never got fed up. But one day, Jason had got in trouble in school. And this is before we had diagnosed him with ADHD. And so he's in class and he's hyper, and the teacher don't know how to control him. So we had to go pick him up. And he's upset because we had to wake up. I was like, I don't need you to go with me to pick him up. I can pick him up. But for some reason, he thought I was going to be out doing something else. Because usually when that person is doing something, they always want to accuse you of doing something. So he rides with me, and he's upset with Jason. And they get back to the house. And the way he whooped my son was not of a parent chastising a kid for doing something. It was of a man being abusive to a child. And that was it. That was it for me. It took him putting his hands on my son like that to make me leave. And that was it. I moved back to my mom's house. The apartment, I never, I just went back to my mom's house. And that was it for me. Because if I couldn't do it for myself, I at least had to do it for my kids, And I felt like if he whooped him like that, like when I say this was not a regular spanking, like, just a little spanking, this was him hitting my 5-year-old son like he was a grown man. That was it for me. And so I felt like with me, it was progression. He started off with something small. So I felt like, okay, he hit Jason like that at a young age. It was going to progress to something more. And I never wanted my kids to go through what I went through. So I left. And I said, my kids will never, ever, ever see me in a relationship like that again. Because I feel like, even though kids are young, they remember stuff like that. We try to shield kids from certain things, but they see it. They are not, they're not as dumb as we would like them to be. They see it. And so for me, it was just like, okay, you got to leave. This man has tried to kill you on multiple occasions. What if he tries to kill your kids? What if they're small? What if he hits them so hard one day and he kills them? So at that point, I was like, I got to leave. And I left, and I never looked back. But the damage had already been done. The self-esteem had already been destroyed. The love, I didn't, what do I deserve? Is this what I deserve? I never, because my mom is a strong person. I never thought that I would be in a situation like that. I had a good example for what a woman should be. My mom is an amazing person. She's always been a strong person. So when you see my mom and then you see what I went through, you would never think that you had a good example of what a woman is. Why would you allow somebody to tear you down? But again, it's not my mom. It wasn't my mom's place to teach me how to be loved. It was my dad's place. And my stepdad didn't come into my life until late. So I never knew what I was supposed to accept and not accept. So for me, after that relationship with my son's dad, every relationship after that, I was never properly loved. And so it took me I started going back to church. One day, my friend Melanie invited me to church. And she was like, oh, you should come to church. Because I was at this point in my life where it was like, if I'm a child of God, why does he let me go through all of this? Why am I going through all of this back to back to back? Why me? They say you never post a question, but why me? Why am I going through this? I've never been a bad person. I've always been a person who would give her last to anybody. I'm a loving person. I wear my heart on my sleeve, but why me? And I started going back to church. And I remember I was in church one day and he was preaching about, Pastor Edwards was preaching about self-love and, just things like that. And it just, something like a fire was lit inside of me. And it was like, and I think that's when I started my journey of becoming a better parent, a better Sidnee, a better daughter, a better friend. I had to get back into church because my mom, when I was a kid, my mom took us to church every Sunday. I was baptized and we were at church every Sunday. But when I started dealing with the depression and going through everything, I just kind of was like, okay, God don't love me, because why would he let me go through this? So I started, like I said, I started being in the streets and lashing out and doing everything. But once I got back into church, there was a fire lit inside of me. And I started singing in the choir. I was going to Bible study. I was like literally into church. And I started to notice my life changing. The relationships I had with people were changing. I started to get a little bit more confidence about myself. And I started, dressing up more. I started dressing like a girl. And I just started, even though I don't know what is dressing like a girl, I was just, I started wearing heels. I started becoming more comfortable. And then I had a friend, Internet. She invited me to her church. She was like, I know you got your church, but you should just come to my church. And that's when I met Pastor Kirkwood. And like I said, Pastor Collins, he lit the flame. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like when I went to go just visit her church, Kirkwood took some gasoline and just dumped it. And just something just woke up inside of me. And I was just like, okay, I want to change my life. I have kids. I have to show them something better. I started going back to school, and I just started becoming a better Sidnee. And like I said, it's been a journey, and I've fallen off. And the first time I fell off and stopped going to church, I actually remember there was a person at church. I was giving her a ride home, and she stole some money from me. It was my rent money. I had just took it out of my bank, and I was going to get a money order. She stole my rent money, and I'm like, dang, I'm doing the right thing, and I'm trying to be a nice person. And she, as I'm dropping her off, my purse in the back seat, she takes my rent money out of my purse. And I was like, I stopped going to church because I didn't want to see her every Sunday. That was me giving her power. That was that thing that Pastor Kirkwood was talking about, giving people power over you. So I stopped going to church because I didn't want to see her every Sunday. So I think that me going back to church did a lot for Sidnee to become a better version of who I am. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. But every day when I wake up, I ask God. And it's not no long prayer. I just ask God to guide my footsteps. Just guide my footsteps. That's it. Because I know if God is guiding my footsteps, I'm headed down the right path. If he's guiding me, I'm headed where I'm supposed to be going. I have hiccups all the time. Especially, we be at work and somebody do something to me and I get angry really quick. But I'm learning to control it. I'm learning to be a better me. I want to be a better Sidnee. I talked to when we had our conversation, everything that you told me, I took it in and I started writing in my journal. And I started trying to implement that stuff into my life because I want to be a better. Sometimes other people can see things that we can't see. And you seen something and you brought it to me and I listened, I took it in and I implemented it into my life because I want to be the best version of myself. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But I definitely feel like what I went through plays a big part of who I'm going to become. Because we always want to say, well, God, if you love me and if I'm your child, why are you allowing me to go through this? He needs me to go through this. He needs me. I'm a firm believer in if God gives me a blessing and I haven't struggled first, I'm going to fumble that blessing because I'm like, oh, he'll give me another one. Mm-hmm. But if I've went through something and God blesses me, I'm going to cherish it. I'm going to hold it up and I'm going to put it to, because I've been through something. I don't want to go back to that and God has brought me out of that. But I have to go through that struggle in order for God to say, okay, look, you coming into your blessing season. I'm about to give you everything, but I needed you to go through this so you're going to appreciate everything you have now. And I didn't understand that at first. I was like, God, why are you doing this to me? Why me? Why me? But now that I've gotten older and I've seen, like, I still have things that I struggle with every day, but I'm more blessed than I can ever be thankful for because I went through that and I appreciate it more. And it be the small things. It be these smallest things that make me happy. It be when you send me something, that means a lot to me. When Antron texts me and say, I'm just checking on you, sis. How your day going? Those little things mean a lot to me because I've never had that before. People genuinely loving and caring about me besides my brother and my mom. Yeah. That genuine love, I never had that before. So I'm grateful for any and everything that is coming into my life right now because God is placing it in my life for a reason. He's like, okay, your storm is over. You ready for this sunshine? Are you prepared for this sunshine that I'm about to give you? So, and I think that with him preparing me for it, that's when the self-love started to play in. That's when the, being a better mother started to take it, because I always thought, and my brother called me out on this, being a single mother of two boys, you got to be hard on them. You got to be hard on them. You got to da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, why would you do that? That's so stupid. And my brother said, stop talking down to them and speak life into them. My brother called me out on that. And after he told me that, it was different for me. Like, I barely yell anymore. Like, Jason, he'll get on my nerves sometimes. And I'll be like, now, why would you do that? But it's more like now when I chastise my kids, is, son, you're smart. I know you can do it. Or if Jason has a bad grade, you are intelligent. You do this, and I tell Jason, you build computers from scratch. You are one of the smartest kids I know. So now I'm speaking life into him, because now he feels like, okay, my mom believes in me. I don't want to, my son Jason told me he doesn't want to disappoint me. And when I tell him how happy I am that he's doing something or how smart he is, he said that makes him feel good. I wasn't doing that before. I think as women, especially as singles moms, we think that we have to be hard on our sons. And that's not the case at all. We don't have to be hard on them. That is the farthest from the truth. I speak life into my kids, but it's a part of my growing. My brother had to tell me that. And for me, being a better mom is very important to me. But in order for me to be a better mother, I have to be a better Sidnee. If I'm not okay, how are my kids going to be okay? If I'm not strong, how are my kids going to be strong? They depend on me. So if I'm not together, how can I make sure they are together? So I think that me bettering myself is going to make me a better mother. Mm-hmm. It's also going to make me a better daughter. It's going to make me a better child of God. It's going to make me a better friend. It's going to make me better all the way around. So I have to get Sidnee together just to be able to be who I am, who I'm supposed to be, to live in my truth and to leave my mark on this world. Because I'm definitely going to leave one. Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to. I'm definitely supposed to. I haven't figured out what it is, and I continue to ask God to guide my footsteps, but I'm definitely going to leave my mark on this world, be it with my fashion, my clothing line, be it if people asking me to make them wigs, whatever it is, I'm definitely going to leave my mark. And I know it's going to be something, because I have my friend Tiffany. She tells me all the time, I had a dream that you was designing clothes for Kim Kardashian, and I be seeing stuff that people are wearing now that I was making, all the crystals on the Timberlands and all that stuff. I was doing that years ago. I'm going to leave my mark on this world. Yeah. I don't know how God is going to reveal it to me, but I know that I am destined to change this world somehow. And even if it's something small, even if I only change 2 people's lives, I'm going to leave a mark on this world. But in order for me to do that, I have to become who I am. And in order for me to become who I am, I have to deal with my depression, which I still battle with. I have to change who I am. I have to work on my anger, which is still a progress for me, because you'll see me at work and I'll be happy, and then somebody will do something, I'll be fuming. It's a process, but Sidnee is going to be who she's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely coming. And like I said, I have way better days than I do have bad days. And I'm loving this new person I'm turning into. I definitely am. I'm comfortable in my skin, all the stretch marks and whatever, and the blemishes up under the makeup. I love who I am. And it took me a long time to get here, and I'm never going to let no man, no woman, nobody take that from me ever again. Yeah. Ever. Because at this point, I've worked too hard to get to where I am. And I'm not going back. I'm not going back to old Sidnee. I refuse to go back to that person, because that person was not beneficial to nobody, especially not myself, and definitely not my kids. I am never going back to that person, ever, ever, ever.
Talk about leaving your mark on the world. Indelible mark. That start, you say it's going to be something, you don't know what it is yet, but it starts where you are, mm-hmm. obviously. Mm-hmm. And you say, I'm going to, whether it's small or not, but that's big still. If you leave a mark on one person if that mark is really the mark, it's something you said or you've done is really effective. It's going to help them be better towards somebody else.
Right.
That's effective. That means it's going to keep going and going. But this started at you birthing that in them.
Right.
So you created more babies out of that. When you have a child as a grandparent, let's say when your mama has a child, it doesn't stop at you.
Right.
Because you have another one. You and what she left on you, you'll probably put on them, and then they'll put on theirs, and then that's a big impact. Because some way where you talk about generational curses and shit like that, that shit started way back then.
Facts.
And it's left maybe a bad mark on these generations and shit like that. But I'm just saying it's become huge.
Right.
So the same way it can be done in a good way.
Exactly.
And you talk about instilling in your kids, instilling good things in your kids and telling them like you can do it. That goes across all relationships though, even in your with your romantic partner and stuff, like, because we be needing to know that, like, as dudes, we don't know we need to hear it. I don't think all of us know we need to hear it, but like when we start to do better, instead of being like, oh, that's dumb, why would you do that, why would you you're better than that. I see better for, not only are you better than that, I deserve better than that. But you're better than that. And then when they do actually do something, because when you say your son, when he does something well, you tell him, hey, I see you. Right. You doing that. Dudes need to hear that sometimes.
And I definitely agree. And that's how I am. You know, the guy that I'm dealing with right now, he'll tell you. I praise him beyond, because I feel like sometimes as Black men, y'all don't get it enough. Yeah. Y'all don't get it enough. Y'all are very important to the community. Like, I mean, when I say very important, and I don't think that y'all get it enough. And that's one thing I always want my kids to know how important they are. And I feel like nobody is going to the world is not going to love my kids as much as I love them. So I need to instill in them before they get out in the world. And I think I did a good job with my oldest one, because I told you about him. He likes to read like me, but he teaches me things every day. And he makes me like, okay, Sidnee, you did something good, and I do feel like that. I feel like y'all should be poured into just as much as y'all, because y'all compliment me. It's easy for a Black man to compliment a woman. Oh, you look good today, and I like the way that dress looking on you, and your hair looks nice. But do we do that to y'all? Not as much as we should. Not as much as we should. Right. Or y'all accomplishments when y'all accomplish something. We get it. Y'all give it to us easily. But why is it so hard for a woman to tell a man that he did something good?
Both ways, though. Because this is the thing. When we do something, it's like, well, you're supposed to do that. But it's the same for women, too. Like, y'all do something. We don't tell y'all enough. Like, and I had to find myself telling my wife a little more, like, no, you really heard. Like, because we expect y'all to be strong Black women, which is cool to be strong. But when you got that title on it, I expect you to be able to take it. Right. Or that's what you're supposed to do. And that's the same with us, whether it's physically or anything a man's supposed to do. It's like, no, well, you're supposed to be able to do that, instead of being like, hey, you handle that, boy. Right, you did that. Right. I fuck with you.
And sometimes it's kind of hard. Okay, so like the person that I'm dealing with now, I told you, I've always had, he calls me gorgeous like 5 times a day. And I'd be like, it makes me feel like, is he just saying it just because he's supposed to say it, But it's like I said, I'm learning to love myself. So now when he comes gorgeous, I'm like, I know, thank you. So it's like, we come in, but I still, we like compliments, but men like them too. And so when my sons dress up, I'm like, okay, I have a camera. I take pictures of everything. Because when my kids is looking good, okay, son, I see you. I see you, son. All right. Especially when they walk in, my oldest, he is he won't leave the house wrinkled. he won't do. He's just very neat person, and he just has to be always put together. And he wants something. See, we got
over there doing her edges.
looking at her baby, getting the baby hairs
Right,
together.
okay.
But I always, when my kids leave the house looking good, okay, son, I see you. You looking nice. Or especially Jason when he gets a fresh retwist. Okay, son, I see you. You look, because just as much as women want that, men want that too. And I want my sons to know, like, y'all worthy of it.
Yeah.
Y'all deserve it. I am trying to give my sons the blueprint of how a woman is supposed to treat a man. Because just like I needed that blueprint of how a man is supposed to treat a woman, men need the blueprint of how a woman is supposed to treat a man. Because if not, they'll end up with a toxic woman and won't even know it.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been given that blueprint. So I'm setting the standards for them. People like to call them mama's boys. That's not a mama's boy. That's me. That's a man who knows what a woman is supposed to bring to the table and what's supposed to provide for him. As far as like I teach my kids, both my boys, they know how to cook. They know how to clean. They know how to take care of themselves. But I also want them to know that this is how a woman is supposed to love a man. I'm giving that to them by, being the best mother that I can be to them. And like, hey, I don't want to make them too, I'm not going to say soft. You know how some people want to say, oh, he's too soft. I'm not going to say I want to make them soft, but I want them to know, like, you can be a man and still
Proud of your woman.
Exactly.
Lean on. Yeah.
Yes, you can still trust her. You can still, you know what I mean?
Well, you should be able to.
But you should be able to. And so I'm just trying to teach them. I don't want them to go through anything I went through in relationships. And in order for me to do that, I have to show them how to properly be loved by a woman. And that started with me, once my brother corrected me, that started with me pouring into them more.
Yeah.
My kids they can tell me the most outrageous dinner that's going to take me 12 hours to cook. If they want it, I'm going to give it to them because you do things for people that you love.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to show them that y'all deserve love too.
And I want to make this clear. It's beyond like cooking or like roles and stuff. You don't have to. It's about telling them, to me, it's about just telling them you deserve to be loved how you want to be loved.
Exactly.
So you may not care about her cooking and stuff. So don't just think it's about cooking. Okay, your woman don't know how to cook. You know how to cook. Y'all cool like that.
Right.
What works for y'all, though, what you think you deserve, what she thinks she deserves, and are y'all like working to let that person see that you deserve that type of stuff. And then when you talk about, when you said he tells you gorgeous or whatever, but now you at a point where you like, I know, but I believe you have to do that to a point where, okay, they know you appreciate it.
Right.
But
most definitely,
at the same time, if they try to strip it from you, they cannot strip it from you in here. Okay, you don't want to take it. Tell me no more. You trying to down me, but you can't make me feel like that, because when you say, I know, you got to really mean that.
Right.
Versus like when he takes it from you, like, damn, am I ugly now? Am I, because if you get so used to him saying that, you going to be like, damn, well, he used to call me gorgeous. Now he taking it from me. So maybe I am ugly. It's the same like when they come into the relationship and they start doing all of this and pampering you and all of that. And some of that stuff is manipulation. Start doing all of that and they take it from you. Well, maybe I am doing something wrong because he used to do this. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? No, I still deserve this.
Exactly.
Maybe I can work. Maybe I can do something better on my end to keep it going. Because sometimes women also get used to stuff and don't work for it no more too. So it's both ends too.
Right.
Shit hasn't been all butter this year, obviously.
No.
Wait.
Rough year, medically and everything else.
Before we go there, because I don't want to miss this. We're going way back to the hitting on your son. Have you been able to have a conversation with him about? Because you said this happened when he was about 5.
Yes, he was like 5 or 6.
So he knows this.
He knows,
Jason, right?
Yes.
He knows these things. How does he deal with that?
He does have a therapist that he But she never really talks to him about the stuff in the past. She talks to him about stuff that he's dealing with currently. Jason is a lot like me as far as like wanting to sweep stuff under the rug and not talk about it. He talks about it for the moment and then that's it. I definitely, which is something that I've been doing for the past couple months, like really trying to get him to open up more. Jason doesn't like to talk about serious stuff. He's a happy-go-lucky kid. I think if something is serious is going on, he just kind of like, he shuts down. He definitely shuts down.
Even like you.
Yes, he definitely shuts down. And even if it's like, if I'm sitting down talking to him about his grades, he shuts down. It's just like, he doesn't want, if it's not something happy, he doesn't want to deal with it. I want him to be able to talk to me about it, and I want him to talk to him about it, but he's at the point where him and his dad have a great relationship. And I don't want to ruin that by bringing up stuff in the past. It took them a while to get to where they are.
Have they had to talk yet?
I don't pry into their information. You know, they write letters back and forth. His dad is incarcerated. And he's been there for a while. But their relationship, since he's been incarcerated, has did a whole 360. And I don't want him to go back and relive that and to change their relationship. Because when I say it's changed, like the other day, his dad, it was his dad's birthday. He's like, my daddy didn't call me on his birthday. I didn't get to tell him happy birthday. So I love that for him now.
Yeah.
I love that the relationship that they have. When he does call, they sit on the phone and talk about, especially during football season, they sit on the phone and talk about sports, you know, as long as they can. So we haven't talked about it, and I don't know if I want to talk about it because I don't want him to start rehashing that, and then it changes the dynamic of their relationship now.
I think it's something at this point, since they do have a good relationship or fairly good relationship, it's something his dad should talk to him about.
Right.
Like, because you said he was 5. These kids are smart now. They remember. She remembers stuff from when she was 2.
Right.
Montana can remember. I'd be like, what?
Right. And that's how Jason is. I'm like, how do you remember that? I don't remember what happened 2 months ago.
So that's still there somewhere, but you can have a good relationship at a point with somebody, but still be like, this is undealt with, right. But you don't know you need to deal with this. You know what I'm saying? Until you get older.
Right.
And he may be able to bring it up later to him, his father maybe, or he may be able to bring. I think you are right. It's not for you to bring up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's for him, either if he wants to know, but he probably don't know he wants to know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was a lot of stuff you dealt with that you didn't know you needed to answer. So all of us in life or whatever. I just say this as a person who done been through things, and you like, if I would have back then, this is what led to this, or this was led to this, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you could be in a good relationship, because a lot of us don't hold grudges.
Right.
We still gonna love you. We still gonna if your mama had you, she put her hands on you and stuff. You still
gonna love her. Still your mama,
her.
Right.
Like she still did all these other good things that made you love her. It's just that part that really bothered you. You know what I'm saying? Or if you called your kid little ugly girl or little ugly little boy or something like that, they still did a lot of stuff to make you feel love, but that part didn't make you feel love.
Exactly.
So it's still in your head, because I couldn't say that if I wasn't talking to if I didn't talk to a lot of people, and they like, now that we're older, they like, damn, like, yeah, my mama never told me she loved me. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But they still love
their mama.
You know what I'm saying? Now we go back to the medical. Talking about, I'll let you talk about it. I don't have to bring it up.
So I think I was just going to the doctor for blood pressure checks, because I've always, with the anxiety and the depression, I've always had issues with my blood pressure. So I have to go in regularly. I take blood pressure medication. I have to go in regularly for blood pressure checks. My doctor was like, oh, it's time for your pap smear in 2 months. Let's just go ahead and get it out the way, so you don't have to come back, because I go in every 90 days. So he's like, so you won't have to come back. So I was like, okay, it's a regular routine. I'm supposed to get a pap smear. So we do the pap smear, and 2 days later I get a phone call. My doctor was like, hey, your pap smear came back, and we need you to come in. And I'm like, we don't want to talk about it over the phone. We want you to come in. So I go in, and they were like, well, we found some cancers. It's abnormal. That's what they said. And we want to do a scrape. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, bring somebody with you. You're not going to be able to drive and everything after. So my mom goes with me. They set me up in the procedure room. They do the scrape. My brother, we all prayed. And they was like, you're going to be all right. It ain't going to be nothing. So then maybe 7 days come back, and the doctor was like, okay, so we did the scrape, and then there were cancer cells there. These are the options that you have. So I'm like, I don't want no more kids. I can take it all. And he was like, but there's other things we need to look at, because your cancer is from HPV. I never got the vaccine. They have a vaccine for it now. My mama didn't give me the vaccine when I was young. Mm-hmm. So HPV is, if I'm explaining it right, I might not explain it the right way, but it's a virus. So HPV can cause cancer anywhere. It doesn't just have to be, so.
What is HPV?
Human papillomavirus. So it doesn't have to just be cervical, uterine. It can be breast. It can be anything. It can show up anywhere and cause cancer. So he was like, we need to. They put me on some medication, and you need to have surgery and have it's not a lot. It wasn't like a massive. He's like, so we can remove it. So I was like, okay, let's do it. But it's still scary, because if some, getting a phone call saying, hey, it came back and it was cancer, you're like, my grandmother passed away on my dad's side from cancer. My aunt passed away from cancer. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to be able to see I'm not going to live. I'm not going to live to see grandkids. I don't know why we associate cancer with death, because that's not what it should be. Mm-hmm. But when everybody that you've known has had cancer that has passed away, you're like, oh man, you think the worst. It took for, a conversation that I had with Tasha. She really got me through it. Like, friend, you got too much left to do on this earth. You ain't going nowhere. And she really brought me out of a dark space, because I was like, of course, when you get that, my depression went from 0 to 100 really, really quick. And I missed a lot of work. And I know y'all noticed it. I was missing a lot of work. It was because I was sick and the medication wasn't making me feel good, but it was also had a lot to do with my depression as well. And so surgery day comes. Y'all came up to the hospital and prayed for me. That meant a lot. My mom, y'all literally made my mom cry. She was like, just to know that you have friends like that are coming to pray with you before your surgery. She's like, it really makes me feel like you're going to be okay. That's what my mom told me after y'all left. So we go in, and, they gave me the medicine, and I'm out of it. And I'd pass out. And I woke up and I look, and there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Something done happened. And the doctor was like, we got it all. You good? We got it all. And I'm like, so they, a month later, I go back in, they do some scans and everything. They was like, well, we got it all, but something's wrong with your kidneys. Your kidney levels have been really elevated. And I'm like, what? So they sent me out for testing, came back, kidney levels were still elevated. So they was like, drink water, drink water, drink water, drink water. I'm chugging water. They were thinking maybe I need to just flush my kidneys from all the medication and everything that I've been taking. I do that, kidney levels still elevated. At this point, I'm like, something's wrong. What if there's cancer somewhere else? So I immediately dropped to my knees, and I just start praying. I start praying. And we go back in, and they do another scan, and it was like, your kidney levels is normal. We don't know what happened. And I'm like, I know what happened. I dropped to them knees and started praying. I know what happened. So I've been going to my doctor's appointments regularly, because of course I still have to go to regular doctor's appointments because of it being a virus. Like I said, it can be anywhere, but I'm in the free and clear as of now. My hair growing back, the medication made my hair fall out. My hair growing back. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for y'all, because y'all was really there for me. Really, really there for me. I didn't tell a lot of people in my family what was going on, so they're going to find out when they watch. But I asked my mom not to tell anybody. And it wasn't because I was embarrassed or anything like that. I didn't want anybody to worry about me. I feel like, no, I don't need nobody worrying about me. So nobody in my family really knows that I was battling this. Of course, they're going to find out, but, nobody, the only person I confided in, my sisters, my brother, and my mom, and y'all. And that's all I needed. God, and here I am. Hair growing back, happy. I didn't even tell my kids. My kids don't even know. I didn't want them to especially my youngest. He's a mama's boy, and he's very his mood depends on how I am, if that makes sense. If I'm in a good mood, he's in a good mood. If I'm not feeling good, it's like if I get sick, he immediately gets sick. Like, no, son. Like, it's so I didn't want him. I know that my oldest is a lot stronger than him, even though he's more quiet and more reserved. My oldest is way stronger than my youngest. And I don't think my youngest would have been able to handle it, just hearing, hey, mom has cancer. So I shielded that from them because I didn't want them to know. They knew that I was sick, but they didn't know to the extent of it, because I was throwing up and I was in bed and I couldn't get up and I was just so weak, and I lost a lot of weight. When I started my journey, I was 30 pounds heavier than what I was. So they knew something was going on, but I just didn't want anybody to worry because I knew that God has the final say so, and he did. He had the final, for them to be so worried about my kidneys and then all of a sudden they do another scan and they can't find nothing. Like nothing. Kidney levels was normal, blood pressure was normal. And blood pressure is something I've been taking medication for the past 4 years. And now no issue. I'm not taking anything. Sometimes I might get a migraine, but I've dealt with migraines all my life. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I'm not taking anything. I'm not taking nothing. And that was nothing but God. That's what it was. And it was, again, another something I had to go through because God was like, okay, you went through this, now let's get to this sunshine because here we are at this part. And I remember when it happened, there was a few people that had passed and I'm like, okay, here come this storm. So Sidney, just remember what's coming after this storm is about to be sunshine, because I just felt it in my spirit. I knew. And like I said, y'all got me through just me not wanting to come to work because I'm just like, I just don't want to be there. And I didn't want y'all to be, I broke down at work a lot of times. Yeah. I just didn't want y'all to see me like that because I'm so used to being so strong and I'm the person that everybody leans on. I didn't want y'all to see me like that. And I didn't want y'all to feel, I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want anybody to, I just didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I wanted y'all to treat me like the same Sidnee. Mm-hmm. And I felt like if with what I'm going through, y'all wasn't going to treat me like that. So I just didn't want to face y'all. Yeah. And one day Antron was like, you can't be like that. We're supposed to be here for you, but you have to allow us to. And I think a lot of times I don't allow people to be there for me. And now that I'm coming into that, I kind of open up more. My relationships as far as friendships and with family members have changed a lot because I've come to the point where I have to learn that it's okay to be vulnerable with people that love you. Yeah. So I didn't want to do that at first because I feel like I don't want nobody to judge me. I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me. I don't want nobody to. But now I'm okay with that. Something's wrong. This is what's wrong with me. Mm-hmm. And I don't need you to give me a solution. I just need you to listen and let you know that something is going on and this is what's going on. And so I'm coming into that person that's like, okay, it's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. You don't have to be tough girl Sidnee all the time. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm coming to a softer side of Sidnee, if I would say that. My more feminine side, you know. So it's getting there, but I do think that everything that I'm going through and that I have been through is for a purpose because it's God is guiding my footsteps to my purpose in life, to what he put me on here on this earth to accomplish. So I'm definitely grateful for everything that I've been through. I'm not going to allow it to continue to break me. I've told myself like what happened. Use it to make you a stronger person.
Pain for purpose.
Yes. That's the perfect way of saying
it. Shout out Mike Moss. What was I about to say? I just had a brain fart. That's what I was gonna say. Because you said we helped you. You said something. What? No, we aided. You said we got you through it. No, you got you through it. God got you through it. Right. We may have aided, but you can give people words of encouragement, or you can try to you could be there for them and all of that, and they still will just go off the edge or whatever. You gotta want to be better. So you wanted to get through it. So you fought.
Right.
So I just say that to say, like, I don't think people give themselves enough credit. Yeah, we didn't have to do whatever we did to aid or help. We didn't have to do it, but you did what you needed to do to
Right.
make sure you
Right.
still here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Wilderness, milk and honey. You know, his people were in the wilderness.
Mhm.
So they can get to the land of milk and honey.
Right.
Yeah, I think when you say that, you got to keep that in mind
Right.
when you are going through those things. Also, when you are going through those things, I think those are reminders or alerts that,
Mm-hmm.
nigga, I can take your life.
Right.
You've seen other people die for this.
Right.
And I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, like he'll take stuff from you and just to let you know, hey, I'm trying to get your attention.
Get your attention over here.
How much I got to take from you before you realize what I'm trying to do.
Exactly.
I got a few things I'm going to say, and you just tell me what they mean to you.
Okay.
Mama.
My world. My strength. Yes, most definitely.
God. I should have said that first.
Man. Without him, whew, I have no words, because without him,
that's fine.
Who am I? Who am I?
Got it.
Without him, who is Sidnee?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I said, every day I wake up, I ask God to guide my footsteps. So I'm just walking the path that he set down for me. Mm-hmm. So without him, who is Sidnee? Who am I?
Your children.
Man, my motivation. Definitely motivation. Everything I do is for them. Definitely, they keep me going every day.
Kia.
Man, my birthday twin. Kia is my because we're so alike. I think she is like I call her my doppelganger. Like she, the single mom. I'll let her tell her story, but it's so similar. Mm-hmm. It's so similar. And she is my biggest cheerleader. That's what she is to me. Friend. You hear her coming down the aisle. Friend. Hey, friend. Mm-hmm. She like, and she tells me all the time, you need a break. You need to go do something for yourself. She's my biggest cheerleader. So that's what she is to me.
Natasha.
Man. Natasha is the sister that I wish I had growing up. Natasha is she's I can't even explain to me what she is. She makes me want to be a better person. Just her telling her story touched me so much. Natasha made me take a look at myself and realize this little stuff you complaining about ain't nothing. Natasha makes me feel better about myself. Natasha, she is what I needed sometimes. She is, sometimes if I don't talk to her, I'm like, especially when I'm going off the deep end, only because she's dealt with depression before like I have. Mm-hmm. So I when I need somebody to talk to, we had this journal thing where I would write a passage and then she would respond to it. I need that from her sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, me and her and Kia, we would write in our journal, we would pass it around to each other.
That's fine.
And that person would respond back to it. I need a person like Natasha in my life just because she lets me know that it's going to be okay. No matter what I'm going through, Tasha always tells me, friend, it's going to be okay. Friend, it's going to be okay. That's her favorite thing to say to me. It's going to be okay, friend. Friend, it's going to be okay. And then Tasha's my rider. you make me mad, and Tasha knows that you make me mad. Antron told me the reason why he started really clinging to Tasha is because he seen the way she was ready to ride for me when somebody made me mad. Tasha was like, where they at, friend? You want me to go get him? I'm like, calm down, Tasha. You know, I know you got my back, but Tasha, that's my rider. She is going to go hard for me no matter what. If I'm wrong, she's going to put me to the side and say, friend, you wrong, but how you want to handle this? But she'll definitely tell me when I'm wrong. She definitely going to tell me I'm wrong, but she will never tell me I'm wrong in front of people. She gonna put me to the side and say, "You wrong,
like
friend."
that. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not telling Tasha nothing because she recently told me, "Hey, I love you." She just put me on the list. She was like, "I beat a bitch ass." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I love you. I said, "I ain't telling her. I ain't gonna tell her."
You can't. Somebody make you mad. You can't tell Tasha.
There's some people who will say some stuff like that. And you, I felt it when she said it.
Tasha will look you in your eyes and be like, "You want me to slap her, friend?" I'm like, "No, friend. Come on, let's go."
But Antron
is that's my brother. He's very overprotective. Me and Antron have had our hiccups in our friendship, but I think it's because we're both stubborn.
We'll still,
and we still will. But I think now that we communicate better. And when he does something that I don't appreciate, I go to him. And he's like, okay, sis, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I never wanted, we just had a situation last week. And I said, bro, I didn't like the way you said that. And he was like, I'm sorry. I never wanted to make you feel like that because I love you. And I never want to hurt your feelings and make you feel like that. He's very overprotective. He's the one who texts me every day. All right, sis, you ain't at work. What's wrong? Where you at? And he's calling me. And so he's like my brother, my brother's not here. He's in Texas. And so I feel like Antron kind of like, that's what he is for me. My brother is my brother is my best friend.
He was coming next.
My brother is my best friend. And so with my brother not being, me and my brother have always been close. My brother travels a lot and he's not. A name? My brother? Yeah. His name is Sloan. Okay. Yeah. Sloan travels a lot and my brother is my best friend. And so with him traveling so much and us being in different time zones and everything, I feel like when I can't get to him, Antron is there. Yeah. And so it's good to have somebody like Antron in my life because I'm not always able to reach out to my brother. My brother, his job is based out of Germany. He has to go over there sometimes and I don't get to see him, So it's good I love the brother role that Antron plays for me. Definitely love it. Definitely love it.
What is your screensaver say?
I am no longer a sneakerhead.
What does that mean? Break it all the way down.
All the way down. Okay, so if anybody knows me knows that tennis shoes is my life. Mm-hmm. I'm going to buy shoes as much as possible. So after my birthday, I bought me a few pair of shoes for my birthday. I said I wasn't going to buy shoes for a while. And I feel like if I can fight the urge, which is this is my biggest flaw is buying shoes, not just tennis shoes, but heels, everything. Mm-hmm. If I can fight the urge to not buy shoes, I can fight the urge to not do a lot of things. So if I can not buy shoes, I cannot deal with certain relationships that I don't need to deal with. It gives me the power to say, if I cannot do this, then I cannot do that as well. So I put that, on my screensaver and it's still there and it's going to stay there because for me, that's empowerment. Because it's saying, Sidnee, if you can not do this and you can break this habit, you can break that habit. And it stemmed from a situation with a man and he wasn't treating me the way I felt like I deserved to be treated. And it was like I couldn't break that hold. But if I can stop buying sneakers, I can stop dealing with him. Because I love my shoes more than I love him. Yeah. So if I can stop buying shoes, why come I can't stop that? Just like I'm on a journey to stop cursing. I feel like I don't want to curse as much because, my mouth will go and if I can stop buying sneakers, I can stop cursing. Yeah. You know what they say, it takes 30 days to break a habit? Sure. I have not bought any shoes since my birthday in April. And I'm itching. I'm definitely itching to buy some shoes. Now, there's some shoes that's getting ready to drop in October that I can't. But I felt like for me, going this long without buying shoes was definitely a big milestone for me. And when you broke it down for me, I never thought about it like that. But then I started thinking about it like, if I can do something like this, I can break a lot of bad habits that I have. So if I can break this habit, why come I can't break these other habits? Yeah. So I keep that on my screensaver, and it's gonna stay there as a reminder. What my kids was on there because of, this is what I do it for. But that right there just really moved me and touched me. So I had to do that.
That was just God speaking through me. You said something that triggered me. I'm like, oh, she's in love with sneakers. She said she about to stop. Because we were just having a random
conversation at work.
You said a great conversation. Shout out Nicole too.
Yes. Who is Nicole?
Yeah.
Nicole is like the you can't put me and Nicole at the same table and think that you are not gonna be. The first time I ever heard Charles Penn's real laugh is because me and Nicole were sitting at the table and we had him almost in tears, and he laughs just like Kawhi Leonard. I kid you not. He does. And I never heard it before until me and Nicole were sitting at the table and we had him laughing so hard. But that's how it is with me and Nicole. Our friendship just started.
Yeah.
But the energy that we have with each other is like, oh Lord, here goes Sidnee and Nicole again. Like, you'll see me and I'll start doing this little hula hoop dance and she'll start yelling out hula hoop. It's just it's just like, if I need a good laugh, where Nicole at? I need to laugh.
These bonds you've made, don't let them escape you without trying.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let them leave out of your life without trying. I mean, on both sides.
Right.
So you and Antron communicating now versus you like, if I'm being open, Damo, this nigga, then I go holler at him.
Right.
Y'all should be able to communicate with each other.
Right.
I don't even have to know what y'all going through type shit. And you talked about him being overprotective of you.
Very overprotective.
Isn't it semblance of how you were with your kids?
Yes.
And when you taught yourself, you had to start speaking to them better, like speak instead of being like, why would you do that type shit? That's the same thing Antron was doing to you type deal. So you just had to tell him, no, this is how you know what I'm saying? This is how you need to communicate to me this, or I'm going to take it like this. The fact that y'all can talk through these things, I'm talking about everybody in your life, y'all can talk through these things, makes y'all relationship be able to move forward, and that's not you giving up. Now, some people you're not going to be able to talk to, and you're going to just have to cut them off.
Yep.
I may not cut you off as far as love or when I see you, what's up, but as far as this space that we interact in, and you get me to a level that I don't want to be in, I got to cut off that version of you. You come back as a new version, we might be able to do something, but this person right here has to die to this relationship.
Right.
You know,
there are some people that I feel like I cut it off and I shouldn't have.
No, go. No,
I mean, there is one relationship with someone at the post office that I really do want to mend. It's gonna happen. Because there's still love there that I have for this person. So it's definitely gonna happen, but it has to happen when we're both ready. Yeah. So we both have to be ready, and if this person wants to mend the relationship, we can. If they're not, I can say I tried, but there's still love for this person there, and I definitely want to mend that friendship.
And whatever version that person was offended by has to die. And
exactly.
Same on the other side.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But I definitely, the communication with Antron, I try to do that with all my friendships.
Yeah.
I definitely, and because the first time Antron pissed me off, I came right to you. He did this.
A few times.
He did this. He did this. And then you would go talk to him. But I've gotten to the point where, okay, if this is my brother, I should be able to come and talk to him just like I talk to my real brother. If something, so I go to Antron, and he was very receptive of it. He didn't discount my feelings. He accepted the way that I felt.
Good at that.
And he told me, like, I never want to make you feel like that because I love you unconditionally. This is what he told me. He was like, I never want you to ever feel like that. And he was like, I always got your back and I'm always in your corner. And so that one conversation made me feel so good because Antron has this thing about, he says, when I'm going through something, I shut him out. And I shut down. and I don't lean on him like I'm supposed to. So that one conversation and being able to open up to him and talk to him about how I felt, it really opened the door for our friendship and our sister brothers to flourish, because now I feel like, okay, I can come to him when I'm feeling some type of way, and he's going to be receptive of what I have to say and not scold me, or you know what I mean? So I really, really appreciate the person that Antron is becoming, because Antron, that's my boy. That's my boy. That's my boy. He's very overprotective. So I definitely am loving this person that he is, and the person that he's allowing me to be. So.
There's also one more. We ain't got to talk about this on camera, but it's just one more. I would like to try. You get what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
A one more relationship. Not that y'all be friends or nothing like that. Just to, as women, figure out differences and be able to coexist in the same areas or whatever. And I think you'd be open to that, and that person would be open to that. Yeah, this one too, please. Thank you. You're so great. You're such a great assistant.
Right.
Thank you.
I think she gets ice cream or something.
You say that on camera. That don't bother me. I would still say no. But nah, she go get some ice cream. And I don't know what to say. Honor of the name of the platform, however you say it. But I always ask us the guests to leave us marked out. Okay. Well, and since not Cali sense, because I don't want to be marked out that way.
Right.
But the world marked out with some great words or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you want to lead them marked out with and pray us out.
Okay.
Wait, before you go, because I want to close out with you talking, not me.
Okay.
I still have to say the ending, but I do love you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the steps you're taking to grow, because when y'all grow, it makes me feel like, even though I shouldn't feel like this, probably, I don't know if I should feel like this, it made me feel like, okay, it's not for nothing. Mm-hmm. Like what, because, a lot of things could be a burden, like the same things over and over. It's like, okay, like, do you just want me to keep doing this same thing? And it's like, I can't grow from this. I can't personally grow from these same situations. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when y'all are like at least trying, it feels good. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. You want to talk about 360s, you and Antron. Like, not like y'all are great people. I'm saying, like, as far as mindset and the fact that you're open to even, I'm younger than you.
Right.
And you would be open to even listen to something I would say. Antron, I'm younger than him. He would be open to listen to something I would say. I mean, thank you, God, for one. But not only do y'all get stuff from me, I get a lot from y'all, too.
Right.
It teaches me a lot. So thank you for letting me in your life. Thank you for letting the world in on these stories and stuff, because this is something that's going to leave a mark on a lot of people, because you're not the only person who goes through it. But it's hard. It's a very hard thing to have to put out there to the world. Shout out to everybody who's done that on this platform, especially Tasha.
I watched, and very inspirational. Very inspirational.
Yeah.
It actually gave me the courage. Tasha actually gave me the courage to come on. So watching them, it makes me feel better. I don't know, just because it's like, okay, people go through things and they get through it. Mm-hmm. What I would have to say to leave my mark, you don't let nobody else write your story. You and God have the say-so over your life. You don't let nobody dictate who you are, where you're going, or what you're going to become. This is your life to live. You don't let nobody else live it for you. Mm-hmm. Continue to, allow God to guide your footsteps, and continue to be you. That's it. That's all you can do. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. And I want everybody to continue to do that, because at the end of the day, God made us just the way he wanted us to be. Yeah. If he wanted me to be like you, he would have made me like you. But he didn't. He made me a specific way, because he knew he had a certain purpose for me. So just live in your purpose.
In love.
Yes.
Pray us out.
All right.
Hey. Come get in this prayer. Come here. You here? Come on.
With a little pretty self.
Don't put your head down. We about to pray. Eyes closed, head down.
Dear God, thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for allowing me to tell my story.
Thank you, God.
Thank you for allowing Damo to create this platform for people to be able to tell their story, to touch everyone who needs to hear what we are speaking on this platform. God, I ask that you continue to allow Damo to reach people. You know, you don't know how many people he's touching. He's definitely changing lives, and I'm so grateful that you put this man in my life. God, please continue to allow us to live through you. Please continue to guide all of us. Please help us to find our purpose and just to allow you to live through us. In your name we pray, amen.
In Jesus' name, amen. May your will be done.
Yes.
The goal is to leave a lasting imprint on their minds and their hearts. We pray you've been indelibly marked. Get off of me. I just wanted to make myself look good on camera. I don't like you. Get off.
She gonna be tall. You think?
Both of them.
Yeah, she gonna be tall.
I apologize. Was that red button still on? Was it? Did you see that red thing?
Which one?
Is there red on there?
Oh.
The record button?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Her camera never went off. That's all that matters. Push this red button right here to stop it.